right, so welcome everybody to this Tuesday evening edition of Be the Sniper or Be the Target webinar. It's your choice and make it today. As always, we're going to pop up some disclosures here. Trading involves risk, so make sure you know what you're doing before you do it. You can take a quick look at this here. You can also go to our website and check out the full disclosures. I want to welcome all of you new traders. I know we've got a lot of newbies here on the webinar with us tonight and the ones recently, so we want to welcome you here. And if you have not signed up yet, hop on over to apexinvesting.com/apexopenhouse and come check everything out free for 30 days, no credit card required. You've got access, you can jump right into our live trade room, go through all the step-by-step training courses, learn the trade setups, get your chart set up, all the systems, indicators, and so on. So make sure to do that if you've not done so yet. Also, sign up for webinars and webinar recordings. This is very, very important, especially for any of you that might be, on the first webinar with us here. If you log into apexinvesting.com, you'll be brought here to the home page. And what you want to do is go right here under Apex Sniper Trading Bootcamp. Go ahead and click on that. That's going to bring you here to this page. This is where you're going to live here kind of for the next 30 days. Everything you need is right here. The very first step is register for upcoming webinars. We're going to talk a little bit more about that here a little later. We've actually got 3 webinars for you this week. Tonight, tomorrow, and Thursday. So we're kind of jam-packing you here, trying to get you as much as we can. Right here, step number 2, you can access the elite room. Step number 3, get your charts set up. Number 4, understanding what's on those charts. And then step number 5, jump into learning each of the trade setups. Okay. But down here under step number 8, under webinars, if you click that, section D, you'll see is most recent webinars. All right, and if you scroll down right here, if you haven't been with us on the last handful of webinars, you really want to take some time and watch these, starting with right here. Okay, if you're brand new and you're in open house, start right here with understanding levels on the sniper chart, and then watch these last 6 webinars. Okay, the webinar we're on tonight is being recorded. We always record webinars, and this is where they will be posted tomorrow. All right, later tonight, they'll be posted on our Facebook page and our Facebook group. If you want some early access to those, make sure to hop on and join, like our Facebook page, join the group. We'll talk some more about that. But this is where the webinar recordings are. That way you can always go back and watch them. And again, if you haven't been with us for these last handful, make sure to go check these out. It'll be very, very helpful for you there. Okay, so that's where those webinars are. We've kind of gone through, and we've got the step-by-step training courses that go through each and every trade. What we've been doing recently on these webinars is going back through each trade and just kind of doing more of a basic tutorial simplification of the trades and what they are and what's behind them and how that works. So make sure to go ahead and get caught up on those. All right, tonight we're going to do that same thing, and what we're going to do is we're going to address what's called the SLZ trade, which stands for star, low volume score, and a ZOI. Okay, but what I want to do first of all is I want to kind of just start off very basic, and let's just talk about what is a star, what is volume score, and what do we mean by low volume score, and what is a ZOI. All right, instead of just jumping into here's the trade setup, when you see this, this, and this, you enter. I want you to understand a little more of what it is and what's behind it. I know all of you have seen on your sniper charts, right? What are these red stars right here? What is this green star right here? Okay, those are momentum stars. Okay, that's what we're going to talk about as well, is what those are. Notice these numbers here. See, every bar right above it has a number. Okay, that's called a volume score. I want to explain to you what is volume score, how do we use it, what do we mean by low volume score. You've got these colored sections here and here. Those are both ZOIs. You've seen them on your chart, on your sniper chart. We're going to talk about what each one of them is, and I'm going to use a standard order prints chart first of all to help you understand what those are. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about a momentum star. All right, and it's pretty self-explanatory. It'll either be a red star or a green star, but it shows momentum in the bar, the direction the bar is closing. Okay, so a larger amount of orders came in on that one side. All right, it could be long or short, or red or green, or red star, or green star, and I'll show you some examples of those. Now, when we think about momentum, right, we think about the start of something. Okay, like the start of a push, or the start of a wave, or the start of a leg in a trend. All right, and momentum can be the start of something, and you'll see that those momentum stars pop up sometimes at the beginning of a trend or at the breakout of chop. But it can also show us the potential end of a push. Okay, and that might be a little counterintuitive at first, but think about it like this. It's like that last bit of steam. It's that last push. Imagine a runner running a marathon, or running a race, and getting towards the end. They're getting worn out. They're exhausted. They're just wearing down. Their body hurts. Their muscle hurts. They're getting tired. They're almost ready to give up. But the finish lines are right there in front of them. And they got that last burst of energy, that last bit of momentum to push through and win the race and cross that finish line. Does that make sense? To where when you see momentum, it might not always be just the start of something. It could also be that last push. And then what do you normally see in that example there of that runner? Getting worn out, getting tired, but they've got one last big push in them to cross the finish line, and then they're done, right? Like, that's it. Does that make sense? Everybody understand that? So when you see these momentum stars, especially a little further along in a move, don't always think that that means, hey, we're going to keep going. That's a new push of momentum. You also have to keep in mind how it might be the last little spurt. Okay? Just to give you a couple of examples here. Okay? Notice here, this market's coming up, and then it starts to go down. And we've got a good move down. And notice on this reversal bar at the top here, what do we have? We've got this red star. It's a momentum star, and it's in red, meaning that the momentum was towards the downside. Okay? And what does it really mean? What is it? Well, you can kind of see some of it. You kind of see towards the bottom of the bar, since this bar closed short, it ended up closing with what we call short momentum. Notice down here towards the bottom, on the left-hand side, we've got the number of contracts sold. On the right-hand side, we've got the number of contracts bought. You can kind of see that momentum coming in on the short side here, right? You know, you see these orders, you see it kind of start building, 8, 10, 14, 11. You see some momentum there. I'm not going to bore you with all the algorithms behind it and all the, complex coding, but does that make sense? It closed with some push of orders. Okay, yeah, you had some nice orders up here, but most of these orders were like 3, 2, 6, 8, and you kind of see that momentum coming in. Does that make sense of what momentum is and why it's there? And it's just showing you there was momentum and some strength at the closing of this bar towards the downside. And you see that that was the start of a nice little run. Okay. Now, that is not, part of this trade. That is not something we use for that trade. I'm right now just trying to help you understand what is momentum, what are the stars mean, how are they made, how you can look at them. Notice here the market has come up, pulled back, come up, pulled back, come up. Is there really any question what the market's doing here? Are we ranging? Are we chopping? Or are we in an uptrend? Who can tell me that? Should be pretty simple, right? We're in an uptrend. Well, do you notice what happens up here at the top of this uptrend? See this bar right here? We've got a green momentum star. Okay? And you can kind of see why that's there. You can see those orders piling in at the top. That's kind of example of what I'm talking about. All right, then you see that kind of big last push there, and then a reversal bar, and the market goes down. See that? You kind of see it over here too in this push up. You know, it's got a momentum star here, and then we got a pullback. And then it comes up and pulls back. And it comes up. But right here, you know, and I'm not looking for it so much in general here right at the start of the trend. My point here is to show you that the momentum stars are not only at the beginning of a push. They can be the last kind of push up, the last burst of energy, and then we're done and we go the other way. Okay? Yes, it'll always be at the top of the bar. Okay? And it could be either green for, hey, there was momentum to the upside. This bar closed up, and when it closed up, there was some momentum building to the upside here. Okay? Or if it was a down closed bar, like here, this down closed bar had some momentum that was pushing there, but got rejected. So that is what the green and red stars are on your chart. All right, they're called momentum stars, and that's what they represent. All right, is momentum, strength, energy coming in the direction of the bar close towards the bar closing direction. Not always just something that happens in the beginning, but it's also something, again, that can happen at the bottom of a push. You see here these numbers on the short side, this bar here, you know, 332, 86, 19. And then look here, see how these are coming in strong to the short side? It was the last push till this got rejected and went back up. Okay, makes sense? Okay, so that's what a star is. That's what a star represents, and that's one of the pieces that we'll be looking for here in this particular trade. Bear with me here. My slides are going very slow here. Okay, so the next part of this, okay, SLV. The S stands for star. We already talked about that. L stands for low volume score, okay, or SLZ, I'm sorry, low volume score. Well, what is volume score? You might also hear us refer to it, especially in the trade room, as VS for volume score. All right, but it's part of order prints. It's the number that's printed on top of every single bar, like I showed you, and we'll look at some more. Well, I need to fix that spelling there. But basically, it's showing you that there's a fight within the bar, okay? And the side that wins the battle could cause a reversal bar to happen in their direction, okay? And it basically gives a score to the battle within that bar. The higher the number, the more one-sided the fight was, meaning there wasn't much of a battle. If it's a high volume score number, it means there wasn't much of a battle there. It was more just one-sided, you know, and the market's continuing that direction. The lower the score, okay, the stronger the battle. Okay, so you might think it's different, okay, but the lower the score, the stronger the battle is right there. Meaning the market's going one direction, but then there's a battle that's coming in trying to push it another direction. All right, and we want to be aware of that. Now, there's different numbers on each volume score. What we look for is a volume score of 13 or below to be considered what we call a low volume score.
I think one of our videos says 10 or below, but it has actually 13 or below.
Right. What we're looking for is 13 or below to be considered low for this particular trade setup. So just we want to make that clarification, 13 or below. Now, a volume score number, okay, can also be, let me find one here real quick. Should have had one ready, but let me find one, a negative one. Sometimes you'll see a negative volume score, okay? And correct, Abdul's asking, does it matter if it's 13 or just negative 13, okay? If it's higher than 13, I mean if it's 14, 15, 16, if it's higher than 13, it's not considered low, okay? down to negative 13 is still considered low. If it says negative 14, negative 15, it's not low anymore. So between 13 or negative 13. Okay, the number just has to be, doesn't matter whether there's a negative in front of it or not. It's got to be 13 or lower. Okay, so it could be positive or negative, doesn't matter. So it's these numbers I'm talking about here. All right, on top of each bar is this number. See the 5, the 17, the 22. Okay, you've seen that on your sniper charts as well. And what we're looking for there is what we call a low volume score, meaning 13 or less. Meaning this market has come up, pulls down, comes up a little higher. Notice in this bar right here, it had a score of 10. So that would be considered a low volume score. Okay? That would be considered under 13. This means that there was, more of an equal fight in that bar, more of a battle in that bar. And then what is this next up close bar here? It's just a 4. And you see the reversal and the move down. Okay? So that's what volume score is, of those numbers on top. When we talk about a low volume score, again, we're looking for the number to be 13 or less. The lower the number, the better, right? The lower the number, the bigger the fight on each side. Okay? It's another example here. You see as it's going up, and sometimes you'll have low volume scores in a row. Just because there's a low volume score doesn't mean the market's going to turn around. Doesn't mean that it's going to go the other way. Okay, but we're looking for that to give us a hint of, okay, comparatively, that's a low score. That's still a low score, and we've got a turnaround. And as this market pulls down, look at this last bar here. It's a 5. Okay, low score. This next is an 8. Low score, reversal, and turns around. Okay, so that's what volume score is. That's what low volume score is. That's one of the things we're looking for in combination with these other things for this particular trade. So SLZ, what is the Z? Okay, the Z stands for zone of interest. Now, some of you may be familiar with this already if you were watching some of the past webinars that we've done with understanding the charts. But a ZOI stands for zone of interest. It's a zone of price levels, not just one individual price. Okay, it's a zone of price levels that the market likes and has a lot of participation interest at. Okay, and the market will return to those levels, will push off of those levels. They can act as some support and resistance, but basically it's more orders coming into one side, okay, above the most recent level of interest, meaning more orders came in these few price areas than have been coming in the last X number of bars. There was a sudden interest, and it's a zone, it's an area. It can be several levels deep. It's not just about a single price level of interest. We have an indicator built into order prints that does that. Who can tell me what that is? What indicator shows us that at one particular price level, a bunch of orders came in at that one price level? Shades is a what? A cluster. Doug got it. Yeah, it's a yellow cluster. That shows us at one particular price level, a lot of orders came in right there, and that shows us as a cluster. But the ZOI actually tracks several price levels, an area, a zone, and it plots it like this. Okay, here's one of the color of plots. You'll either see this color of plot or, more of like a greenish, I'll show you one. I don't know the exact color of it. And you can kind of see what it is here, right? Look at these down close bars. Look on the sell side. 1s, 2s, 5, 3, 6, 2, 1, 1, 1. And then what do you see here? 5, 10, 11, 6. See, in this zone, this whole area here, there was a higher influx of orders. Okay? As opposed to right here, see this cluster or this yellow cluster? That's just, letting us know a particular price, individual price level. This is a zone. Can you see that like for yourself? And yeah, there's, complex coding behind it all, but I just want you to kind of understand what's behind it. It's showing a zone of interest coming in this area, and then it shades it here with this big shaded block that will proceed over to the right until it is broken with the close of another bar. Okay? And notice in this particular example, even though all that interest started coming in there, the market did end up reversing and going the other way. We've talked in some of our other trades about other examples of when that can happen, right? With trapped orders or with that momentum that's coming in and being rejected and going the other way. But that's what a ZOI is. That's a zone of interest. That's how it's made. And keep in mind, it's a zone, not just one individual price level. Okay, notice over here, see this colored here? Okay, this is a zone of interest as well. Now, why is this one, this purplish color, and why is this one more of a greenish color? Well, should be pretty obvious, right? This purplish color one here is showing that the interest was on the what? On the short side, on the sell side. That's where the several levels of interest came, was on the short side. And it draws it out in this purple color. Up here, the interest was on the buy side. And it draws it out in this aqua greenish color here. Make sense? Any questions just on that part right there of a ZOI? Everybody understands kind of how they're made, that they are a zone, and how they're colored. There's a couple more examples here. You've got a couple of short zones of interest here, and this was a older zone of interest area here that's still extending out. Notice as this market's coming down, again, look at the short side. See like 4, 2, 1, 4, 5, 3, 6, 4, 6, and then here 14, 15, 12, 13. So you see that zone there of interest that came in? Okay, that's how they're made. That's what's behind them. But also notice in these couple examples I've showed you, and no, it doesn't happen every time, but just because that interest came in at multiple levels, it didn't make the market shoot down, did it? It actually ended up reversing. Okay, so now let's kind of look, and sorry about this, my screen is locking up here. There we go. So now let's talk, now that we've kind of broken those down and you know and understand what they are, what's behind them, how they look on a chart, let's talk a little bit about combining them. Okay, we'll talk about that, guys, as far as the different colors. Okay, so we are going to cover the step-by-step rules of this trade here in a little bit, but let's talk a little bit about what we just talked about, combining them. We know that our entry for this trade, just like our other trades, is always going to be on a reversal bar. So what we're doing is we're looking for a momentum star, because we're looking for that last burst and done, that last surge that we can take advantage of that potential weakness in the market, right? We've talked about that with some of our other trades, right? With our exhaustion boxes and with our trapped orders, how it shows us some of that weakness in the market and the market pushing off the other way, right? We've talked about that's kind of what makes us the sniper, and not just the infantryman that's out there shotgunning it and going crazy. We're looking for that weakness in the market and wanting to take advantage of it. Well, this combination of this trade is just kind of helping us see that same thing. So we want that momentum star that's showing us the last push, the last burst, the last burnout, so that we can potentially see that weakness in the market. We want to also combine that with taking a different view of the strength of the market and looking at the volume score, and want to be able to see a low volume score to see, hey, also in that bar, not only was there a momentum push that could have been a burnout, but there was also a battle going on in that bar. And there was a lot of orders coming in the other way. The buyers and sellers are fighting for control. There's a battle going on right now. Okay. And then in addition to that, we add in a zone of interest. Okay, that can be on that bar or the bar before, where hey, there was some interest coming in there that was unusually high compared to the recent areas in the last X number of bars. So right before that reversal bar, there was a momentum star that might have been the last burst and burnout. There was a low volume score showing us that there was a battle, and there was some interest that was coming in on that bar. Does that make sense how combining all three of those right before a reversal bar could give us a good sign that that was it? That was the last little burst? That was the fight? That was it? That's the time for us to follow that rejection of burst and energy and go the other way with the market. Does that make sense? How the three of those things together can be very powerful? Just understanding what's behind them and why. Now, the ZOI can also be on the ZOI has to be on the bar before the reversal bar or the second one before the reversal bar. And I'll show you what I mean. Also, some of you question, does the ZOI color matter? Meaning, do I only go long if the ZOI was a green color for long? Or do I only go short? Well, let me tell you right now, it does not matter. Okay? Let me just show you a quick example of something here. Okay, now I'm going to show you in a minute why I would not take this trade. Okay, but it is technically a SLZ potential setup. And notice the SLZs are noted down here in your detectors with the blue. Okay, so this market's coming down and we have a reversal bar right here going up. Okay, look at the bar before it, because we know that with our trades, the reversal bar is our setup bar, and if it meets the rules, then we would enter one tick above the close of this bar and go for 2 bars. Okay, so this is our reversal bar. This is our potential entry bar. The bar right before the reversal bar, meaning this one here, what does it have? You see that it's created a ZOI, right, on that bar. We see that there's a momentum star, and we see the volume score is less than 13, right? Everybody get that? Okay. No matter what, this bar, the bar before the reversal bar, no matter what, this bar has to have the star and has to have the low volume score. Okay? But the ZOI can be on this bar, or it can be on the bar before. Does that make sense? The ZOI, the zone of interest, can be on this bar or the bar before. But the star and low volume score have to be on the bar before the reversal. Okay? So, let's talk about something here. Okay, now I don't want you getting wrapped up in, is this a valid trade or not a valid trade? We'll get to that. I want you to understand something, because sometimes I like to explain to you, why is that rule there? Because it's a very valid question for you to say, well, the interest, the ZOI is short, meaning the interest came in on the short side. So wouldn't that tell me that the market's pushing down? So I don't want to go long. But what if right here this ZOI was green, meaning, oh, the new interest was coming in on the long side to push the market up, so then I do want to go with it. Well, they're both good scenarios for you, right? Because what do we see here? The market's pushing down, the market's pushing down. This last bar here has what? Momentum in it, right? So there was a push to the downside. We see it getting rejected when this bar reverses. We also
We also got ODD divergence on that trade.
we do. We do. But as far as the ZOI itself, we've got momentum pushing down, okay? And that could be a last burst, a burnout before it reverses, right? We've also got a low volume score of 10, so we see there was a fight here. We see interest coming in on the short side pushing down, and the market's rejecting it and going the other way. Just like we've learned with some of our other trades and trapped orders, if we see a interest and a push and a burst down, but it gets rejected to go the other way, we want to go with it, right? So we're okay with this ZOI being a short ZOI. What if this ZOI was green and it was a long ZOI, meaning the interest that came in was on the buy side? We'd still be okay with this trade, right? Because the volume score 10 shows us a fight. The momentum star shows us a last potential push down. And let's say that there was buying interest coming in as this thing turns around to go up. We like it either way. So that just gives you a little understanding of why it doesn't matter. We don't care if it's a buying, a short or a long ZOI. Does not matter what color the ZOI is, and that's why. Because either way, it's adding strength to the trade. Okay? Does that make sense? And does that answer that question? And we'll talk about it some more, but the color of the ZOI does not matter. And that's why. Okay? So, now this trade in general, I'm going to tell you in a minute why it's not my top pick favorite trade for an SLZ trade. But, like Daryl just brought up, this market came down on what? 995. Then it went further on what? Less volume. So this market is now in a state of what? What do we call that? Where the market went further on less. Yeah, ODD, divergent. So the trend is divergent. This bar closes up. And what also does this bar have on the bottom of it? Another sniper trade that you also see noted here by the black dots. Yeah. It's got an exhaustion box, a trapped order. So this is a TX trade. This is an ODD trade, right? We can trade against the trend with a TX trade when there's divergence. And there is divergence, right? And between right here at our entry and then looking at our target 2 bars later, is there anything in the way? Do we have obstructions? Do we have walls or levels? No. So that was a good ODD trade, wasn't it? In combination with that, we also see our blue outline here. It was a star, low volume score, ZOI trade setup. Yes? So you kind of see how that kind of stacks the odds in your favor for the ODD trade. Okay? Now, as a SLZ trade by itself, a star, low volume score, ZOI trade by itself, can anybody tell me what I don't like about it? Just as an SLZ trade by itself.
Like if it didn't have ODD on it.
Yeah, if it didn't have ODD on it, if we were just looking at the star, low volume score, ZOI, reversal bar, what is missing? Yeah, exactly. Everybody's got it. There's no level to push off of. Okay? There's no levels.
And that is a requirement.
That is a requirement. I know in some of the training it says it's not 100% a requirement, but highly recommended. I think Daryl and I are going to both tell you right now it's a requirement.
Yeah.
Okay, if it gives that impression in the initial training, you're going to get clobbered if you don't take these off of levels. Just telling you right now. Okay, let's talk about that a little bit. And this is what I want you to understand. So let's just look at this one example here. Does
Hold on
everybody?
one second.
Yeah.
As far as lines being levels, you got walls, you got deviations, you have stacks, you have dynamic magnets, and you have flux pivots. So that's the 5 levels that we talked about in all the training videos. That's the levels we're talking about. Not just any level, but one of those 5.
Right. And we're about to review those as well. So just once again, everybody understands this concept though, right? Market's pushing down, market's pushing down. This last push here before the reversal bar has a low volume score. So there was a fight there. You also see the bar before it was low. There was a fight there. It's got a momentum star, so there was a last final burnout, flame out, burst push here. Gave up. The runner crossed the marathon line like exhausted, done. And interest came in and then got rejected and went the other way. We like that, right? We understand that. Okay, so now let's move forward. Very next slide.
These aren't
Um,
just like levels, they're major levels. So there's a lot of levels on the chart, but these are the major levels.
Correct. These are the ones, this list right in front of you here is the list Daryl just listed off to you. A wall, a stack, double mini magnets, dynamic magnets, flux levels, deviation levels. And if any of you are not quite sure what those are, what those look like, go back to where I started off this webinar and showed you those webinar recordings and showed you, hey, watch these last 6. Those first 2 talked about the charts. What are they? What are these levels? Okay. So definitely check those out. Okay. How close does this have to be to a level? It does
Within a
not
few
have
points.
to bounce off to the tick. Okay. Within a few points, or you could say within a bar size. All right. Like
We
within
have one.
reach.
We have a trade right now on. I don't know if you have. Do you have your NQ chart open?
Yeah. Let me see here. Yep. We actually do.
Can you drag it over there?
There it is. Right there. See the blue? Go ahead, Daryl. You want to talk about that one?
It just won, but yeah, it's a star with a low volume score of 4 and a ZOI on the bar before, or the bar before that, 2 bars back, and it's close to a wall. It's also a dynamic magnet. You don't have it plotted on your charts right now, but a dynamic magnet that it literally bounced off of to the tick. It does not have to go with DR. There's a couple people that just took the trade. So yeah,
No.
it should be out of it now and have some money in your hands.
Wait a minute. 5 or 6 of you on this webinar just said, "Oh yeah, I just took it." Are you guys trading and not listening to me? What the hell? Come on, guys. No one even listens to me no more. You're over there trading your chart, trading the trade that I'm teaching right now. Okay, Douglas listening. Good. But this is a perfect example. I'm glad you caught that, Daryl, because remember, like I just said, it's
And
the
again, there's a
reversal
dynamic
bar.
magnet right at that mini magnet.
Okay. I
One of the
just,
orange levels.
yeah, I just didn't have all my charts open here.
Yeah, I just want to point out that literally was right off of one of the levels.
Okay, perfect. But let's say that that dynamic magnet wasn't right there. This level's still pretty close. You know what I mean? The closer, the better. But notice this reversal bar, remember what I said? The bar before it needs a star and a low volume score. The ZOI can be on this bar, or remember I said the ZOI can be on the bar before, and that's a perfect example of it, and perfect example of that trade winning. And again, another example of what's at the bottom of this bar. That's 2 sniper trades combined right there. Like, does that help you have a little more confidence in a trade when it's 2 different sniper trades combined into one? You see that? Because this is also a TX trade, right? Kind of all in one there. So basically what you're seeing here, I mean, what you're seeing is a push of momentum with that last burst and it's done. You're seeing a ZOI, the interest come in. You're seeing the low volume score, a battle happening. Then at the bottom of this bar, you're seeing exhaustion hit this bar. You're seeing sellers trapped there. You're also seeing a paw print, that orange, meaning that's a weak price level. You're also seeing a mini magnet saying, hey, we're rejecting price there, and it's reversing. Do you see all that you can see just in those
That's a
three
stellar
bars?
combination. Yeah, it's a great combo.
I mean, that's a great combo. You have, think about, realize all of the insight you have into the market right there. And for those of you that are joining us new in open house, maybe you've traded other systems in the past that were just what we call blank naked bars. Maybe you had some 5-minute bars up with some random moving indicator. You are completely blind. You could never see all of this stuff in there without having the Apex order prints interpret it for you and let you see that weakness there. Like, that's why we call it the magnifying glass into the bar, having clear vision of the market, spotting that exhaustion, that weakness, that rejection, taking advantage of it like a sniper, being waiting, ready to go right there and pop up.
Do I load up or do I stay consistent? I stay consistent.
Yeah, I mean, even though you have odds stacked in your favor there, if you start
They are still odds. They are still probabilities, which means there's a percentage of loss.
exactly, and to follow out probabilities and take advantage of them and stay consistent with them, you have to stay consistent with your number of contracts.
And then you have plenty of time to enter on that because you can see that star low volume score ZOI before that reversal bar ever completes.
Yep.
So you know it's coming to place your order. Also, if you have the automation, which I'm going to talk about tomorrow night, all you got to do is when you're near a level, like a wall, a flux, a stack, whatever, is just enable your star low volume score trade. And it'll automatically take it if one pops up. So as soon as you get close to a major level that John's listed off, just enable the long and the short for it to take a trade.
Right.
Now, sometimes there's a lot of these trades, and sometimes there's not any. So they're not constant trades. I have had days where I've had literally it was just, they can just keep coming and coming and coming. And I've had days where there's not any. So that's why it's one of many trades that you choose. And I can't emphasize enough how important it is to make sure you're close to one of the major walls or levels, within several points there. Don't just take it when it's like in the middle of nowhere.
Let's talk about that. Daryl set me up and didn't even know it.
Look at that.
Didn't even know it. So, levels. We know they're strong. We know that certain individual levels are strong. We know when they're stacked together, they're even stronger. What do we know happens at walls? They're not as easy to get past. That's why we don't trade into them, right? We don't trade into walls because we don't want to what? Bounce off of them. But what do you think happens when a burst of momentum, bam? What happens when a burst of interest, bam? And what happens when a big fight, bam, slams up against a wall? It could break it. It could break through it. But if all that momentum slams against the wall and bounces, that's different, right? Does that make sense? If it bounces off of it. So think about this. When we combine a reversal bar with the momentum going into it, with the low volume score fight going into it, with that interest coming into it, and it bounces off of a wall. It doesn't break through it. It bounces off of a wall. It bounces off of an obstruction. What happens when all that momentum slams into a wall? Look at this cute little baby. Look at this cute little baby right here. Holding that little ball. That little baby is going to kind of toss that little ball at the side of his little playpen there. And what's going to happen to it? It's just going to fall to the ground, right? Back in his little playpen there. he's probably not putting much behind that ball. There's probably not much energy behind that ball, right? He's going to toss that ball and it's just going to flop to the ground. But what do you think is going to happen? If I can ever get my slides to change. What do you think is going to happen when she hits that racquetball against that solid wall? See the difference there? When she comes into that with a lot of interest, with a lot of momentum, with a battle and fight, and she hits that racquetball and it hits that wall, it is going to bounce back fast. It's going to hit that thing and bounce off and come right back at her and go past her, right? So if as a sniper we're wanting to spot these levels that could potentially burst and then bounce the other way, we want to get back in there. We want to get in on that push off, right? Not just out in the middle of nowhere, like Daryl mentioned. We want to get in on that push off and take advantage of that energy slamming into that wall and getting rejected. And that's why we want these SLZ trades off of one of these walls or levels of importance. We want to go with the strength. We want to trade against the weakness. So if momentum and a battle and an interest area can't break the wall, but slam against it and bounces, I want to be in on that bounce, right? Because what can that be? That wall with that slam and bounce could be a potential launch pad, right? Like a springboard. Everybody get that? Everybody understand where I'm going with that? And like Daryl said, not in the middle of nowhere. He didn't even know I had that on there, did you, boy?
I haven't seen it.
It's not in the middle of nowhere. Like in the middle of nowhere, you may get some energy in the middle of nowhere, right? You may get a momentum, a move in the middle of nowhere. You might. But what's a better probability? If this swimmer is in the middle of this pool, in the middle of this lane, and decides, I'm going to turn around and start swimming the other direction. They're going to make headway, might be a fast swimmer, right? But what kind of momentum are they going to have turning around in the middle of that pool compared to the type of blast off momentum they're going to have when they got to the other side of the pool, off the wall, with that momentum they were coming in on, pushing off of it to go back the other way? That blast off board right there is going to give them a much bigger initial push the other way. Does that make sense? You get these analogies and why I put these pictures in here so that you understand what this is. What is that star and momentum and low volume score? What does it represent and why it's so important to have that off of a wall to be the springboard and to make that bounce. And we want to be ready to hop in on that and go with it the other direction. Take advantage of it. Does that help you understand the why a little more, or what's behind it? As opposed to just, okay, here's the rules. You need a star, the volume score into this, and then you enter. Well, why? Like, what is that all about? What is this random trade?
And that's why we're doing that series of webinars, is to dig into each one of the trades so you understand it. It also helps give you a lot more confidence. Would y'all agree when you understand the trade? Like, it's good to, get down to the nitty gritty and know what the, detail, like, okay, do this. All right, that's the setup. I get it. But why should I have confidence and actually take it?
Right. And yeah, not only does it raise your confidence level in pressing that button to risk your live money, okay, hey, I know the rules, I follow the rules, so I'm confident pressing the button. But when I understand what's behind it and why, I'm a lot more confident in that. But also, guys, you've probably heard us say this a million times, especially if you've been around a while. Yeah, you can hop in our trade room, you can follow the guru, you can follow Daryl, you can follow Lori, but just in that one little example that Daryl brought up, And we saw the ZOI and the volume score and the star and that loss of momentum and that paw print weak area, that mini magnet rejection area, the trapped orders, the this, the exhaustion, the market turning around. You just that little quick lesson, a few minutes that we talked about this particular trade, I'm going to bet for some of you that was more insight and market reading, true market reading, than you've had compared to any other systems that you've traded. Does that make sense? We want you to become the guru. We're not just doing this to tell you the why behind the trade, but to also step by step build different ways for you to see the market and read the market yourself. And that's how you really take your trading to the next level, is when you do start combining all this and start realizing, oh, it's not just about the ABC or the 1, 2, 3 rules of that one trade setup. I'm learning to read the market. And then I'm learning to realize that, oh, that was also another sniper trade in comparison. And oh, there's no levels in the way blocking me. And oh, hey, look at you. Who's becoming a new market reader? So trying to
And I mean,
go ahead, Daryl.
I was gonna say, putting all this together, I mean, just to bring this down to earth, you know, like y'all all see the I mean, y'all, I'm not saying good, bad, ugly, whatever. I'm just talking about the reality is y'all are seeing the lockdowns happen again, right? Everybody seeing that in the news? All this stuff's happening again. You know, and one of the things I say often is like how blessed we are to be traders. Because no matter what lockups they do, we can still trade, right? And would y'all agree that now is really the perfect time to get this down, to focus on this? That's why we're doing this open house. So that way you're ready for whatever does come. Whatever, you know, if there's another lockdown or there's another virus or there's another whatever, to give you that security that you're not dependent upon a job and what the economy's doing to be able to take care of you and your family. And I mean, it's not just a, I don't know, not just a comment. It's literally what we're happening right now.
We've already been through it once this year.
Yeah, we're seeing it happen again. And I mean, Abdul just said it. COVID-19 won't be the last pandemic we have. You know, and I'm not trying to incite fear. I'm trying to incite hope.
Preparation.
That y'all have like the ability to change your future and be ready for whatever comes at you. And that's why I love trading so much. It's because it gave me my freedom. When it first came out and I locked down, and I have a ranch that I bought because of trading. I locked it down. We had all our food delivered. You know, we didn't go anywhere. And I was able to do that because I was a trader. You know, and I was able to take care of my family without even worrying about it, without missing a beat. And that's just, I don't know, to me, that's one of the greatest gifts of trading, is to be able to actually do that, take care of you and your family despite what's happening, you know, around the world. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And then who knows what's going to happen with schools again too, and being able to be at home if the kids have to be at home. And it's just, there's no better time to start than now, and not just learning the rules, which are important, but I hope you see, we try to take it further than that. You hear Daryl and Lori in the room every day. You get these webinars. We're really trying to help you understand the market, be able to read it yourself. And, Daryl, do you want to kind of let them know, based on that kind of same line of thought? I really feel like that's why I pulled this page up. You guys do not want to miss tomorrow night's webinar.
Yeah, tomorrow we're going to go over account funding. Some of y'all don't have the funds, or maybe you don't want to risk the funds because you want that extra capital that you have back, in your back pocket in case you need it. And so I'm going to go over funding and how I've got funded with multiple accounts. And we're going to dive into automation. Some of these trades are really fast, or you can easily miss them, and how to use automation and what to have on, what not to have on, when to turn it on, how I sort of jockey the buttons as I use automation, and the copy trader. How you can use that for, multiplying your profits and also helping you trade, or better managing your risk with the micros. So you definitely want to be on that webinar tomorrow night, because that's 3 powerful things that we put together that are part of the program. And I'd recommend that everybody register for that right now.
Yeah, if you want to talk about some other steps to take to, prepare yourself and to, be ready for that, for your financial, your family's financial future, depending on what's going to happen or not happen. Those 3 things we're going to talk about tomorrow are huge, huge parts of it. And like Daryl mentioned, talking about how to manage those buttons, how to look ahead into the market and know which trades you should have set up on some automation or whatnot. Well, we're going to talk about some of that tomorrow night, but then Thursday night's webinar, some of you may have, seen me present this before. They've been around a while, but we're going to talk about trading routines and consistency. And we're going to talk about certain questions to ask yourself all day long, over and over again, as you're looking at the chart. What is the market doing? What kind of trade am I looking for? Looking forward. And you'll find that after that webinar, all those buttons at the top of the trade assistant aren't quite as overwhelming anymore. It's a lot more clear when you learn to look ahead properly of, oh, I need to have these couple ones on and these off. Got it. It's not as complex as you think. We're going to walk you through it. You really do. But we're going to walk you through it here, guys. So I hope you've seen. Go ahead.
I made 48 grand a day trading, and wasn't stressed at all.
Okay, show off. Go away. Get off this webinar. Go spend that money.
Just saying it rocks.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're just bitter.
I am. But guys, I hope you see, especially, those of you that are with us right now in open house during this free trial time. When we had you come in and take 30 days free, no credit card, I'm sure some of you expected, like, oh, for the first 30 days, they're going to probably not talk to me. They're not going to answer any of my questions. They're going to probably show me, like, oh, this little part, 1 or 2 little tidbits here, but you got to pay to get any more. I hope you see that we are going nuts here. We have put together step-by-step trainings for you. Daryl is in that room every single morning. Lori's in that room. Daryl's done some nighttime stuff. We're doing 2 to 3 webinars a week. We're really doing our best to give you everything we can and as much as we can during those 30 days for you. And then even offer you, an extra 30 days for just $1 to get you going. We're trying to, tomorrow Daryl's going to show you, hey, here's a way you can get an account funded and not use your own money. Here's some automation tools. We are trying to do everything we can during this free time for you. Because, next week for Black Friday and Cyber Monday, we're going to be offering some discount specials to help you out as well. But our main goal here is when it does come time for you to say, hey, I've loved being a part of this. I've loved being part of the Apex family during this open house. I want to be part of the family long term. I want to get a membership. Well, that is at some point going to require you to make an investment into that membership. But we are doing everything we can these first 2 months to get you to where you can pay for that membership out of profits, not out of pocket. Like, that's something Daryl and I talk a lot about, and I hope you can see that we're really trying our best here. So if you'll commit to yourself to learn and dig in and grow, we'll keep committing to you too. Okay? So where is that? If you go to apexinvesting.com, log in with your username and password, it will bring you here to the home page of the Apex website. My system is just running slow. Once you get to the home page,
click on the tab to the left.
Yeah, well, all right, smarty pants. Click on the tab to the left. I made 48 grand. Log into the website. It'll take you here to the home page. and then you'll go right here to Sniper Trading Bootcamp. Click that. And then once that comes up, the very first tab will let you register for upcoming webinars. So I'd go right now and get registered for tomorrow's webinar and for Thursday's webinar, and
We even have the next 2 weeks up there so you can schedule. Next week, we have one on Tuesday and Saturday.
Yep. Yep.
All right, that's all I got for tonight.
That's all I got too, guys. I hope that helps you out there. Make sure get some rest tonight. Be in that elite trade room tomorrow morning. Okay. Thank you, guys. We appreciate all the kind words, and we're glad this helps. That's what we're here for, and we'll keep doing it. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great night. See you in the morning.